Or is it because people feel more confident as a result of the class? That could be too. But what we know is that people, oh, you have a question, yeah.
Why do you think someone said they strongly disagree?
Probably because there are two things I can think of. One is the quality of life outside of the class is quite challenging. They may be in a wheelchair, and so there's nothing in the class that could possibly help them improve that situation. The second might be philosophical, which is that I don't want to think of this class is a sacred place, and it's about artistic experience and creativity, and I don't really make the connection between that and my life outside. And those are two things. Anyone think of other reasons? Those are two that come to mind. Any other thoughts on why somebody might disagree so strongly? Those are the two big ones for me, but I think the other one here is music and rhythm, which is not as surprising. But again, 70% of people use music more as a result of the class. We only had 2% strongly disagree. Maybe because they already use music. They already walk around with, Michael Jackson or something that helps them walk. But what we realized is that we see people once a week for an hour. For the other 167 hours, they're by themselves. Not alone necessarily, but they're not in our class. So we thought about, is there a way that we can try to translate some of what we do in class to help people in their daily lives? I'm going to end with this part because it's sort of the next frontier. We developed a project called Moving Through Glass, and we worked with a company called SS&K. SS&K is a creative agency based in New York. Creative agency is a fancy term for advertising firm. They do advertising. But they do very innovative advertising. They do a lot of work for political campaigns. They do a lot of work for nonprofits and pro bono stuff, as well as HBO and a lot of big names. We brought them on because we knew nothing about how to program, and we knew nothing about bringing a product like this to market. But what we did was we developed this app for Google Glass. You can see that we're wearing. I actually have a few here. I'm not going to spend time now, but if you want to stay at 5:50 and check one out, I have 5 of them. So there's a big movement in the idea of wearables as a way of helping people with chronic conditions manage those conditions out on the street. So you can have an app now for Parkinson's, which tests when you take your medication, or I shouldn't say test it. You can track when you take your medication. Yeah.
So, sorry, very quick question. So, I know that Google, they sort of discontinued the Google Glass. So what do you know what's being done on that? Is the platform still going to be on Google Glass or?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
So Google discontinued the consumer version of Glass, but the big secret is that there are a bunch of sort of pilot projects running in medicine, in building applications at Boeing, where they use glass, and all of those projects are still going.
Okay.
What they did was they basically took the consumer product, because it was a really poor version of an iPhone. It did some of the things that an iPhone could do, except an iPhone is so much easier to use and does so much more than Google Glass could. So they hadn't really found their core competitive competence yet, and they pulled it. And now they're working on it to bring it back out as a much lower priced, easier to use, better user interface product. And they're expecting to bring it out probably in the next year or so. They hired the team from Nest, the folks who make those thermostats that you can adjust with your iPhone. I hired that team to work on making Google Glass a consumer product, but it is, in lieu of being a consumer product right now, is a specialty product used in very specific technical and medical applications, and that's where this project falls into. So there are a lot of wearables out there to track this and that, but we realized there's no wearable that actually can be a toolkit for people to use when they need it, and that's what we wanted to create. So here are a couple things about it actually is, even though it's gotten very, very bad press, it actually is kind of amazing technology. The fact that you can see a tiny little screen while you're walking around and hear music and have it be a sort of all-encompassing experience is pretty amazing. We created it to be a very friendly design, so the navigation is very easy. You don't need a keyboard. It's either voice activated or you swipe. Those of you who try it on in a second can experience it. It's portable and it's private. Nobody else can see what you're seeing. And you can carry it anywhere. So if you have a walker, you can use it. Okay, glass, unfreeze me. And it starts to go. I don't have to touch anything. I don't have to manipulate any controls. We went through an exploration and assessment process, and we decided on 4 very short modules. A warm-up module, which is some seated dances. We decided to have all the dances that those 2 components, warm me up and balance me, be based on Mark Morris' repertory, just to kind of tie it back to the art form. Because there was a very strong pull in all of this to make it just a very practical tool, and we wanted it to still have that connection to the art form, to have it be a warm-up that, yes, was meant to get people up and going, but was connected to actual dances. So Warm Me Up and Balance Me are sort of warm-up modules, and then Unfreeze Me is a kind of a triage tool. If somebody gets frozen, they can say Unfreeze Me, and the glass will start to play images of a dancer marching in place with very strong, encouraging music, or there's one that's a waltz. There's also one that's a tango. So they just play through, so whatever works for you, whatever starts to get you moving, you can start to go, and if nothing works, it will loop around again so that you can try it a second time. Because we know in class, when people start to get frozen, the thing that works is to be a model in front of people, or to march directly across from them, and to sing a very strong melody. Walk With Me is a very similar module in which we have a dancer walking to a very specific beat with groovy music and 5 tempi. So the person with Parkinson's can choose the tempo that works best for them and follow that as a way of maintaining a steady walking speed. Yes?
It's just a figure in front of them that's walking?
Yes. So let me see if I can. So that's what they would see. You'll see it on the actual screen, but this is the image that they see. I think let's see if this is going to work. We decided to shoot this one outside to sort of simulate what someone might actually be experiencing when they're on the pavement. Anyway, so we're just in the process of piloting this, and we're very interested in the evaluation process, trying to get as much feedback from people as we can, because here we're kind of the intersection of an art experience, because it is all based on what dancers do, right? Science. We're dealing with folks who have a particular medical condition, and how does this help them? And technology. How can we design technology that is that incorporates elements of dance in a user-friendly format and enables people to access a toolkit that's always available to them? We don't know because no one's ever done it. So right now we're in the process, starting on November 2nd, we'll be lending out pairs of this glass to members of our group. They get it for a week. They can try it out. They can use it on the street, at home, in the bathroom, wherever they want to try it, and then answer some questions about it. Tell us how do they use it, what do they think about it, how would they like to improve it. We'll get it back. And what we'd like to do is then go back to Google and say, hey, if you like, now that you've redesigned glass, would you like to work with us on the next stage of this process? So when we started out in 2001, I don't think we ever imagined working on a project like this. But what we realized, I think, was that the natural extension of what Oli saw as the core components of what happens in dance training, what happens in artistic training, all of those things naturally start to spill out into people's everyday lives. You can't help it. And this, within the artistic context, we see a really great model, and Julie sees this all the time. It's an amazing way to learn something, right? This is not a way of learning where someone is telling you to do a set protocol and a set mechanical process. The experience in the dance class is it's interactive, it's imaginative. We use a lot of different sort of tools to help people gain a deeper understanding of their own bodies, of their own movement, of their own expressive possibility. And because of that, people are actually able to embody and take on a lot of the information that we give them, I think far more easily than they might if it were just presented in a book or in some kind of, I don't know if there's no such thing as a kind of book dance class, but I should compare it to a therapy setting where somebody is starting out with a specific problem, and then that person says, well, here's how to solve a problem. And that's not how we approach it at all. We give people a set of tools that they can draw from to handle situations that come up for them, both in class, when they're given specific artistic challenges, but also outside of class, out in the real world. The last frontier, and then I'll finish here, is that we have done 2 performance projects with our group. And this is also a natural extension of the work that we do in class, with one big exception. We work on the same material for many, many months. I think both projects were between 14 and 16 months long. So to go in every week and really go deeply into a piece like L'Allegro, or the pieces that you saw in Capturing Grace, to work on that process was incredibly challenging, but also very rewarding, as you saw.
Are they separate rehearsals? I mean, you
They
have
are
your
separate
class,
rehearsals.
And then you have your rehearsal.
Yes. So we have class ends at 3:30, we have rehearsal 3:30 to 4:15. So this for me is kind of a new frontier and the last frontier, because it's a thing that we never wanted to do when we started, even less than technology. Because we didn't want to put pressure on people. We didn't want people to have that idea that they had to perform. This was a safe environment. This was a place where they could all be together and experience movement without pressure. But what we realized is that people actually want a little bit of pressure. They like having that task. They like having that goal. And the performance project created a very micro goal of like, I have to learn these dances, I have to know what these steps are, but also a macro goal. I have to enter the artistic world of this piece. And it gave us an opportunity to go and talk about all the different aspects of L'Allegro, the poetry and the paintings and the music, and have people understand the big picture, and then have all of that come to bear on what they are doing with their bodies and their expressive capacity in the performance. And that's where it starts getting really complicated, because how, as a scientist, do you study that process of artistic creation and artistic engagement? Very hard to do. I do believe that there's an answer, and the answer lies in how all of you address that specific challenge in terms of looking at research capacity, expanding your understanding of evaluation, and knowing how to take dance as itself, not try to change dance, but think about all the analytical tools that you have as scientists, and figure out how to address those different focuses, those different components that are going on in something as complicated as a live performance. So I'm going to stop there. Are there any urgent questions? I know it's time to go, but if there are urgent questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, you have my email, and I'm happy to answer anything. Also, if you want to stay for a minute and try a glass, you're welcome to do that. Yes.
What's your email?
It's David. David at let me get to the end here. David at danceforpd.org. So there's the website. You can also contact us through the website. That's David at danceforpd.org. Happy to answer your questions if you have anything else.
Can I try to Google Glass?
Yeah. All right.
I also have to go to the workshop.
All right. Yeah. So I have 5. So give a quick look, and then. All right. They do. They do. Although it has
Picture of this.
it has bone induction, so you actually don't need an earpiece. But
man. Wait, can we raise the?
it actually sends sound waves through your bone rather than through your ear.
Julie, do you see this?
Can you just show me the Google Glasses? Lucas did. Other glasses.
So you can actually.
Okay, everybody, let me see your glasses. Get in there, Rita. I need you in closer. More.
Oh, wait, I have glasses on top of my
Okay,
head.
good. Ready, set, oh, look at me. Sorry. Here we go. Okay, that's cool.
Wait.
Okay, so I can give this one to somebody, but there's a little white button